So this is our next iteration of a how-to video. We have a valve assembly here, which is purchased, it's just as a kit. It's got everything we need for it.
This
we
is
have to
actually
disassemble it.
Yeah, this is actually from Northern Brewer. I know I had previously posted a link about how I was going to build it with all the parts that you find at like Lowe's or Home Depot. But one of those parts being the 5/8 inch fender washer is like next to impossible to find.
Impossible.
At least in this area. We're in Milwaukee, so at least in this area it's not that easy to find. And why don't you save yourself the trouble of having to like locate these bullshit washers and just buy the assembly. You can buy the assemblies online. They're not that expensive. They're a little bit more than you would pay for each part separately, but how much is your time worth, I guess, is what it comes down to. And that's what I found out. That's the dilemma I found myself in. How much is my time worth? And
to me, my time is worth a lot. So, I mean, for everything you get here, it's actually not that bad priced.
No, it's probably about $7 more than you could build it for.
Yeah. Now, I personally would not buy the actual cooler itself from Northern Brewer. I'd go somewhere else, buy it there. I mean, I picked mine up from, when I built mine, I picked mine up from, I think it was Fleet Farm. They had a sale on just the coolers. I mean, any cooler from anywhere, you're going to pick it up. It's all the same stuff. There's no need to buy anything special. The assemblies itself are just the only special thing because they are a mix match of parts. So
I'd say make sure when you're looking for a cooler that it has a spigot.
Yes. I've
seen rectangular coolers that do not have a spigot. You need that.
Well, and a removable spigot
is
the key thing because that's actually where the valve assembly goes in.
Right here is what we have. We picked this one up at Lowe's actually.
On the bottom here, you can see there's this nut, right? That we're actually going to take and unscrew. Yeah, so there's this nut right in the bottom. We're going to unscrew that, and that's going to let the spigot here come out, and that's where we're going to put the valve assembly in. So step one is obviously removing the spigot.
Remove the spigot!
So when you pull it all out, here's all you got left. That's the spigot in total. Pick them back up. The nice part about this is you get the diagram from Northern Brewer on how this whole thing goes together. You don't really need it because it does come pre-assembled, so all you have to do is make sure as you take it apart, you remember in what order things went on. You put it all back on in the same direction. It's really not that big of a deal.
Yep. A monkey could do it.
Basically,
it's true. A monkey could
do it on this.
Right.
Or 3 monkeys.
Looking at this, I actually think they assembled this incorrectly. Because the fender washer is actually supposed to go on first, right? So you have a nice flat surface between where that goes and this outside ring, and then you put your washer on.
This is the rubber.
Yep, the rubber washer.
O-ring.
Yeah, the O-ring.
Challenger.
Right. So now this one goes on the inside.
Failure of the O-ring.
So the two washers are what go on either side of the actual cooler, right? And then, so as this is right now, we're going to put this on the outside.
So, got this washer, O-ring.
Peer into this, we'll see how it kind of looks through. And if you look real closely, there's you can see there's a gap from where the new spigot comes in and with the rest of the cooler. So to compensate for that gap, we have another ring washer that we're going to put on there, right, which will help, fill that gap real nicely. You got the O-ring on there that covers up the gap, to make sure we have a nice flat surface. Then we're going to put on the fender washer. That fits on there and makes a nice flat surface against there. And then to finally finish it off, we got this connector piece. It's counter threaded all the way to the middle, if that makes any sense. Basically, you have threads that start at each end and head towards the center until they hit the middle.
As you can see, they don't give you much leeway as far as threading goes.
Yeah, you kind of got to play around and push as much as you can. And as you mentioned, when tightening the inside, using the vice grips.
Vice grips.
It was a big help.
Gives you a real tight seal. You know that shit ain't going anywhere. It's tight like a tiger. It's good to go.
Yeah. Then we move on to the inside part because we're not using a false bottom here.
Right.
We're going to have what's going to be basically the mesh tubing inside.
And I mean, to be fair, going the route that we have, you could attach anything you wanted to the inside. You could home build false bottom. You can go the route we're deciding to go with the hose. I mean, they're not, one's not tied to the other. You can do it however you want. A lot of people do false bottoms. They do it this way. I mean, whatever you want to do, there's a million options.
Very similar to what we did with the mini mash tun is we're going to cut off the ends of this hose, pull the rubber tubing out, and then we're going to start connecting the other parts that are going to connect it to the inside of the spigot. The toughest part about this is getting it started. Once you get started, then you're pretty much going. Oh shit, don't pull. Well, this one got a little more beat up than the last.
Yeah, what happened with this one?
I think we were pulling too much. It's pulling the ends out. Well, basically, we're going to get this tubing out of here, and then we'll clean it up a bit.
Stroke.
Alright, now we have our two hoses here. This is the hose that's on the inside that we really don't need at this point, so toss that aside. As you can see, when we were pulling that hose out, we have some areas where it's thinner than others. That's because when we were pulling it out, I kind of squeezed a little too hard. It's pretty easy to fix. Just kind of bunch it back up together here, and it'll push it back out to where it should be. So that is our hosing. That's actually just going to be inside of the cooler when we're all set and done. Another thing you're going to want to do is trim this a bit. I got a couple of little strands that are little stragglers. You're never going to have it just fully clean. I mean, this is just, it's a wire mesh, so it's never going to be completely clean. You just got to cut off the little pieces that are stragglers. Out. Yes. Yeah. Stragglers. From there, we have several parts that we're going to need. Right here is the Watts A385. And this guy, just the barb that's going to go and screw on right on into the spigot, the back of the spigot portion inside the cooler. Once this screws in, you can take the hose and stick it on the end and clamp it down so that you have a nice connection to the spigot itself. The other end, I decided I would go with a different route. You could just get two of these and get a cap that goes, this is a 1/2 inch end here. You get a 1/2 inch cap that just goes over the top of it. That'll work too. I just decided I wanted to go.
Sorry?
He's allergic. I decided I wanted to go with the female route here. We got the barb here, fit on the other end. And in this case, we'll just have the 1/2 inch male cap that'll just screw right on in. And that's pretty much it. What's the numbers on these? Oh yeah, the pipe plug, that's Watts A-823. And the other barb is the A-390. Like I said, you can go with the 385, that'll work too. Just find the plug that you need. Another thing you're going to need are the clamps. Must be stainless steel, all stainless steel clamps, otherwise they're going to corrode pretty quickly. Right here's the clamp. Put that guy on first. Once he's over your hose, you can go ahead and stick the barb right on through, and then have the clamp right up where the barb is going to be. At that point, we're just going to take a flathead screwdriver and we're going to tighten this clamp until it's tight and everything, until you can't move this barb from the mesh tubing.
Alright, sounds good.
Cut screwdriver.
So I think the last thing we actually have to do before we can put this into the new mash tun is we have to put the plug into the end, which is just as simple as screwing it in. Yeah.
I don't know if you need pliers to tighten it, but
go ahead and apply some of that forearm strength. There you go.
Boom.
It's about as good as that's going to get.
Good as it gets, folks. Here's our screw-on end. And that's going to screw right into this little guy right in here. We hope. Oh, yeah, again, make sure you don't screw that up.
It should be noted that we're holding the spigot on the outside as well as we're tightening this.
I think that's pretty tight. Anybody else want to verify?
No,
looks good.
Looks good to me. So now that that's all done, all you're going to do is take and coil this around however you want inside the mash tun.
Yeah, that's in stick it under there like that, you know, or whatever. Next thing we gotta do is just make sure it holds water, make sure there's no leaks. Once we do that, we're pretty much set.
Yeah.
Ready to start mashing.
Which we'll be doing shortly.
Yeah.